Everyone, so we just got this in. So Minister Foley, we're talking about her again, and Mrs. Foley has talked about the Leaving Cert next year. And as you know, I'm obviously Leaving Cert student this year, and obviously how that went. Let's put it that way. I am concerned, to be totally honest with you, I'm concerned for the next Leaving Certs next year. I'm probably concerned for them at the how too, because this Minister for Education will just, I have to be frank with people, I don't want to worry people, I don't want to worry Leaving Cert students next year. But this one will destroy anything she touches. So I don't know how she's the minister, but again, what she's talking at the moment, I was listening to her, I'm here now, this is why I'm here too. I was watching her earlier on talk shite in a committee, in an education committee in Dáil. And she was talking, but I have it here too, that she wants to give students more choice for the 2022 exam for the Leaving Cert. So, how's that going to go? Wait till you see, it's going to be a sinead. Everything with her literally goes up in a flame. Goes up in the tsunami. So it's fair to say there's probably going to be, it's going to be the biggest clusterfuck you could ever find in the world. Because we all know this woman's just complete incompetence everywhere she goes. Because we all know with the Leaving Cert this year, we had to literally go through wall and hell to get predicted grades and to get a choice in the matter. And obviously there should be a choice. I do think there should be a choice because people might say it's less work. But in other words, too, you do more work in the class. Like for example, I had to do a lot in math work and woodwork. We weren't just sitting there doing nothing. We had to work very hard to get our work done, get everything we needed done in class to predict the grades from our teachers. And again, that worked out better, I think, and I do think it worked out better. But as she said, Minister Foley said, I wouldn't even give her the title minister, but the English paper one, students be given more choice in poems. So obviously you always ask about poems, because you do study it in the Leaving, so you study poems. And you be given fewer questions, so like for example, basically what I'm taking by this and what she said today, you'll be given you'll be given more choice in poems to touch on. So it won't be just 2 poems, and you won't have to remember just 2 poems. You can think of a very amount of poems you might like or whatever. Write about them. But fewer questions. So take for example, the boy in the striped pajamas. What happens at the end? Write about what happens at the end. How did they get into the concentration camp? Take for example that. Who did they know? What was the name of the child? And there'd be fewer questions like that. There'd be only a few questions. So there'd be more choice in the matter. There'd be more choice in describing things. Which is obviously welcome, but again, with Norma Foley, everything's with a grain of salt. I'm not taking it as thing, but again, it's interesting to see. Will be interesting, and obviously be given more time. It says to be given more time, to be greater time. So you could leave this year. You couldn't leave the exam. You had to stay the full hour or so for the exam. So there'll be greater time probably given to anybody, which is only fair. So as she said, and I heard her say this, there'll be no plan present to bring calculated grades into 2022, which to be honest with you, I just say it now, I think there's going to be civil war. I think there's going to be civil war next year, because we're going to be in the same old boat next year, where X, Y and Z and everything will happen, and because again, it is outdated, our education system is outdated, and the way we're doing it is outdated, and I do think, to be honest, giving people choice, and again, this is my opinion. Obviously, I do welcome giving them more time, because I do know some people who were Leaving Cert this year they're doing their best. They did sit some of the exam. Take for example maths. One of them's going on to be a maths teacher, but he does his best in maths. Some parts of maths he finds difficult. But take for example, as he said, he needed a bit more extra time for some of the pages to the end of the Leaving Cert this year. He found it difficult in the time capacity to do everything, if that makes any sense. So again, a bit more time would have been probably better or beneficial to him. And the same as less questions too. And take for example, poems. You can think of a poem at the top of your head, something that interests you. Say it's about fashion or something. Talk about it. How a girl wants to change her fashion, for example, or whatever. Or she likes football or something like that, poem about football or something like that, something that you're into, I suppose, because again, there's no point talking about fashion if you're into football and you don't have an interest in fashion. But that's just an example. And fewer questions too. And obviously would be more based on the person writing the person, their own personal account of the poem and what they can remember with the poem, and ask questions and graded choice, I suppose. But again, the calculated grades. But she did say there's nothing wrong with that. But again, normal Foley, we all know she just starts trouble where she goes. But again, would say, and again, I will write to the department, because again, I want to just say my opinion anyway on it. Regardless, they're not going to listen to me, normal Foley, actually, fuck, it's my gut, says I. But anyway, I will say that I do think, and I will say this straight, that there should be a choice between only leaving cert, you can do the leaving cert, you can sit the exams, whichever one you want to sit. And there's no point in making people do French and Irish if they don't need it. Again, they can sit there if they want, but if they don't need it, again, it's up to the student. I do think the student should have more choice. Because with the predicted grades of somebody that's at the leaving cert this year, the predicted grades, is that more beneficial? You do have to walk in school, because again, some people assume that we're just sitting there doing fuck all in school. Forgive me for my language. But we did have to work hard. We had a lot of English things to do. We had in LCA, what I'm in, you had to do projects, you had to do class assignments, key assignments. You had to get them all done. Big thing. It was a big thing to get them all done and have them all handed up and everything. It's hard with English. You have to write up things, and it was hard, less time for the teacher. And I got no support around that, extra support around that, so it was difficult. But again, you did have to work out, because we wasn't just sitting in a classroom doing nothing. We were constantly walking. As soon as we went back in to school at the beginning of March, we hit the ground running, and we didn't stop until the end of the school year. And it was difficult. Again, I do think it's beneficial, because you're in school. It's more based on attendance too, getting your work done in the school. And it's just basically everything you do in class adds to it. It's the teacher that gives you the grade. And I do think it's more beneficial. And they can see it, and it's more beneficial, and teachers will understand your strengths and understand what you're good at more than a teacher to just 5 minutes in. So it'd be good to see. It really be good to see, and I do hope it would go out well, and I do hope. But again, normal Foley, I couldn't trust all the canopies, to be honest with you. But again, it is welcome, and I would suggest again, predicted grades next year, along with the leaving cert, to have the choice, give them a choice. I do think that would be very good, and I do think that's a system that could work. And now with some reforms, as I said, greater times, and which they're all talking about already, which I do think is a step in the right direction to monitor Irish, to monitor the ever changing world, because this is outdated. In Finland, take for example, we have an exam, and they don't think it's necessary to have an exam to show they put children through, they put young people through that, because in Finland they believe that everybody should enjoy their young life, instead of worrying about exams and things like that. Which I do think the right thing too, because nobody's disadvantaged, nobody who is less bright than this person, nobody's brighter than anybody else, let's put it that way. Everybody's on an equal podium, which is a good thing. But yeah, thank you for watching, take care, everybody, and bye.